Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the incredibly complex tactical setups you see out on the football pitch. At first glance, a football match might just look like 22 players running around chasing a ball. But as we're about to see, it is actually a highly orchestrated, super dynamic system where every single player serves a really distinct, vital function. Right, let's dive into this deceptive simplicity. Because sure, while the core objective is to simply outscore the other team, actually achieving that goal, it's a massive tactical puzzle. Those 11 players you see on the pitch for a team are actually operating within a highly specialized interlocking system. Every single run, every pass, and every defensive stand is governed by a master plan. And the way a team is organized structurally can completely dictate the entire flow of the game. To really see how all these functional gears turn together, we're going to build this from the ground up. We'll quickly cover decoding the formation blueprint, securing the defensive line, commanding the midfield engine, and finally, spearheading the attack. Let's get right into it. Starting off with Section 1, decoding the formation blueprint. A formation is basically the foundational shape of a team. It's absolutely not just a random string of digits thrown onto a whiteboard in the locker room. It's literally the master plan that dictates the exact tactical jobs every player is going to carry out. When a manager chooses a formation, they aren't just deciding where guys stand at kickoff. They're defining exactly how the team will defend space, how they'll transition the ball up the pitch, and how they're going to create those crucial scoring opportunities. When we look at these formations, they're universally read from the bottom up or from left to right. That means a classic 4-4-2 starts with the goalkeeper at the base, followed by a line of 4 defenders, 4 midfielders, and 2 forwards up top. But the specific numbers a manager chooses, that completely changes how those individual roles actually function in practice. Before we move up the pitch into those numbers, though, we have to talk about the goalkeeper's evolving role. The keeper is obviously the only player allowed to use their hands inside the penalty area, which is why they wear a different colored kit to stand out. But their job has evolved massively over the years. While your traditional keepers simply stayed glued to their line to make saves and block shots, modern tactics often require what's called a sweeper keeper, someone who rushes out of the box to clear danger. And it goes even further now. We have ball-playing goalkeepers. Think of guys like Alisson or Ederson, who are actively helping to start the team's attacks with incredibly accurate, composed passing. The very best in the world right now are blending all 3 of these styles perfectly. Moving right along to Section 2, securing the defensive line. Center backs are the anchor points of our entire defensive structure. Their primary real estate is that super critical area right in front of the goal. Their core duties: block shots, tackle attackers, and intercept wayward passes. But much like the goalkeepers we just talked about, there are variations here. You have your classic, no-nonsense defenders whose pure focus is just stopping the opposition at all costs. On the flip side, modern systems are increasingly relying on ball-playing defenders. Think of players like the Netherlands' Virgil van Dijk, who physically build the play out from the back with truly elite passing skills. So the really crucial point here is how a manager's system dictates these roles. A lot of the time, teams play with 2 center backs in a standard 4-man defense. But if a formation utilizes 3 center backs, it completely shifts how the wide defenders operate. In a 3-back system, teams usually deploy wingbacks who are positioned much higher up the pitch to support the attack. But the moment the team loses the ball and needs to defend, those wingbacks just drop right back down alongside the center backs, immediately forming a highly compact back 5. And this brilliantly illustrates the tactical evolution out on the wings when a team is playing a standard 4-man defense. It just shows how a fullback's role completely shifts based on their tactical instructions. When they don't have the ball, left backs and right backs defend the wide areas and stop crosses. Simple, right? But with the ball, it's a totally different story. An overlapping fullback like Alphonso Davies will drive up the touchline, get beyond his teammates, and really stretch the play wide. An inverted fullback, however, like England's Trent Alexander-Arnold, drifts inside into central areas. They act as this extra gear right in the middle of the pitch, offering the team way more passing options. Which leads us perfectly into Section 3, commanding the midfield engine. Central midfielders generally have to do a little bit of everything. I mean, they are the gears connecting the entire shape of the team, and they usually fall into 3 highly specialized roles. First, you've got the defensive or ball-winning midfielders. They sit deeper and just excel at relentlessly getting the ball back. N'Golo Kanté is pretty much the gold standard here. Then you have the deep-lying playmakers, or number 6s, like Spain's Rodri. These guys dictate the entire tempo of the game and are experts at evading the opposition press. Finally, the box-to-box midfielders, like Declan Rice or Fede Valverde. These players possess the immense stamina required to just continually sprint back for defense and surge right back forward for the attack.
Now, pushing a bit higher up the pitch, we find the attacking midfielders. Positioned much closer to the striker, they are essentially the creative key required to unlock the opposition's defensive lines. Players in this role, like Portugal's Bruno Fernandes, need absolutely elite vision and passing ability to create scoring opportunities for their teammates. But crucially, they're also expected to be lethal shooters themselves when the moment presents itself.
Out wide, the midfield engine adapts yet again. A traditional winger is going to stay parked way out by the touchline, looking to use their quickness and dribbling to beat the opposition fullback and just swing crosses into the box for their teammates. But in today's game, this role has massively shifted toward what we call an inside forward. Instead of crossing the ball, these players use their control to cut infield, driving directly toward the goal to take shots themselves. It's a role famously perfected by one of the absolute greatest ever, Lionel Messi. Finally, we've made it to the tip of our formation blueprint. Section 4, Spearheading the Attack. Strikers, also known as center forwards or number 9s. They exist for one primary function: score goals and win the game. But how they actually go about doing that depends heavily on their physical profile and the team's tactical setup. A target man is typically a taller, physical player who wins headers and holds the ball up while waiting for teammates to run forward. On the other hand, a pace striker is a quicker forward who constantly uses their speed to sprint in behind the defensive line. And of course, you have absolute phenomenons like Erling Haaland, who can shockingly perform both of these highly demanding roles at the exact same time.
But honestly, perhaps the most fascinating tactical anomaly in modern football is the false nine. This role is designed specifically to break the opposition's defensive shape. A false nine is usually a midfielder who's asked to play up top as a striker. But here's the catch. Instead of staying up high, they drop deep into the midfield when their team has the ball. This completely disrupts the opposition's defense because it drags those center backs totally out of their rigid formation. That opens up massive spaces for teammates to run into, all while creating an extra passing option in the midfield. It's brilliant.
Which really leaves us with this final thought to ponder today. We've seen fullbacks overlapping into the attack, midfielders acting as the absolute defensive anchor, and strikers dropping back to playmake. As player roles become incredibly fluid and dynamic like this, are those rigid numbers we write down on paper, like a classic 4-4-2, just the starting point of a living, breathing tactical ecosystem? It turns out, football is just so much more than a shape on a page. Thanks for joining us for this explainer, and we'll see you next time as we continue to break down the fascinating complexities behind the things you love.